Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk HR. So, today we have a very special person, very experienced person uh, who's going to share a lot of stories with us. So, it's none other than Prem. So, Prem has more than 3 decades of professional career with Indian Armed Forces and corporate. In the Armed Forces, as an artillery officer, he was intimately involved in military operations across the line of control and led the Allied Black Cat commando team in counter-terrorist operations. After his tenure in the Indian Army, he was picked up the IAM Ahmedabad to head administration for South India's largest plantation company, Harrison's Malayalam Limited. Thereafter, he was heading the HR Center of Excellence of US based scientific games and ballet technologies at Bangalore and Chennai. Then he took over as head of HR of Mobme Wireless Solutions in June 2016, when Mobme was poised to transit to the next phase of growth from a startup. Now he is currently teamed up with Abanel Management Consulting Private Limited as their specialist human capital management. He is fond of interacting with younger generation and grooming them to potential leaders. He has taken multiple webinars during COVID-19 to share his experiences and stories. So he's an international author, and his recent book is How to Sharpen Interview Skills. Is being read in US, Australia, Europe, apart from Indian students and professionals. He is also voyaging into the uncharted territory of infopreneur and is the founder of Prihan Jai Ventures. Prem loves experimenting on well-being, listening to music, and freelance professional and leisure writing. So I'm so happy and excited to welcome you here. Prem, happy welcome to Let's Talk HR. On behalf of Best of HR Forum, I'm welcoming you here. Happy welcome, Prem.
Thank you so much, Swati. Thanks. It's a delight to be back again. Incidentally, the Best of HR has a very special place for me in my heart because my first webinar in my life was with Best of HR. And thanks to Biju for that. That was the first of the one in which we did that winning at interviews. That is the first which we did. And I think it's crossed more than 4,000 views in the Best of HR forum videos. And I'm specifically proud of that. So yeah, so this is a topic that I specialized on, and we'll go ahead from this. Yeah, let's hear you ask some of what is those important and those unusually, questions that people don't want to ask. You can ask that.
Sure, sure. I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy that you are collaborating with us, consecutively. Yes, Prem. So we are going to discuss regarding not the normal topics. It is one of the normal topic, but it's not like it is something which is happening in everyone's life nowadays. Like a man who is 18 plus of age and a man who's 60 or maybe more than 60 in outside India. So they're all going through these kind of situations every day, of course, facing interviews post COVID, post pandemic. Yes, before getting into the topic, I would like to know, like, how are you doing? What's happening with you? What's new with you?
Yeah, okay. So having headed the HR for in almost 2.5, 3 years with MobMe, that was my last full-time assignment. I left that to pursue my entrepreneurship and then do consulting because I felt that a lot of people can benefit from the experience that I've gained. 30 years plus experience is not a joke, right? So I could see that I could be of real help to companies in uh, gathering some information on how to take things forward. So that's where I was. So currently I'm doing that, and currently I am, of course, on social media. I'm capitalizing on social media. That's why I did my ventures. It's called Prehanje Ventures. That's basically Prehanje stands for my name, my wife's name, and my son's name, Hanson and Jaya. So that's why it's Prehanje Ventures. And so I wrote this book, which is it's a starter to take things forward. And interviews is something which I believe is going to be part of your life. It's as good as like your heart or your thing, because as long as you're working, you will face interviews. That's why I wanted to specifically and specialize on helping people go through interviews.
All right, that was nice hearing from you, Prem. And Prem, I would like to start. I'm not gonna have a typical Q&A session between us. It's
Wonderful.
gonna be more like we'll be discussing the real life situations, and we'll be
Absolutely.
analyzing like how the normal people are not able to do it and how they can do it better. So that's what we are gonna discuss today. So let me start with you. Uh, like let's say that you are sitting at home and preparing for an interview, a virtual online interview. So
Okay.
how do you take it?
Right. Okay. So I'm assuming that I'm laid off. Okay. That makes it a little more interesting. I'm laid off, and there's an opportunity which has come my way, and then I'm going to go for an interview maybe in another couple of days. Right. So is that the situation?
Yes, you can go ahead with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if that is the situation, how I'm going to prepare myself? See, one of the first things that I would do is that my own mental conditioning, my tuning of my mind, that is the first thing that I need to address. Because I don't want anybody to feel that because I have been laid off, that is a disadvantage. No, the company laid me off because they couldn't sustain. It's not because of my competence. That is the first thing that I'm going to answer that question. If anybody asks me that question, I'm fully confident that it is not because of my doing. That's very clearly will be spelled out. So that takes my confidence level to a new space, right? That's first thing. The second thing that I would do is that uh, I know from my experience of 30 years that preparation for interviews is 70%. It's 20 or 30% just on the day that you're going to be with 1 hour, 1.5 hours on the interview. And 10% you can give it to lady luck. Okay. But 70% is preparation, and that's what makes you click in an interview. So in preparation, what all I would be doing? The first thing that I would do is to understand everything about the company. I'll go to the website, every portion, every drop down menu in that website, and understand the culture, the people, the ethos of the company, their competition, their growth lines, their currently how are they dealing with the pandemic, what is the market capitalization, how strong are they financially, all these things. Whether it is I'm technically a person or any other, I will go through every aspect of that. That's one. The second, of course, is I will have a set of questions that I will prepare for myself. Tough questions which I'm likely to be asked. And I will prepare my answers for that. I'll close the door of my house, tell people not to disturb me, sit in front of the mirror, and rehearse each of those questions with my answers. And everything that the question is, I'll ask myself a lot of negative questions. And then in that, how am I going to answer positively? That's the way I'm going to answer my thing. And then I'm going to use this technique called the STAR technique, right? So a lot of people are not aware of this. Some of you are definitely aware of this. A STAR technique is an acronym standing for STAR. S for situation, T for the task, A for action, and R for results. So, example is somebody's going to ask me, okay, how are you going to deal, Prem, tell me, how are you going to deal with a very tough person in your team, who's been difficult? So how did you handle that in your previous company? So I would say, yes, yeah, we did have a situation like this. Almost all the leaders will go through that, right? So I will say with the STAR technique, I will start off saying that the situation that I had is that I had XYZ who is very arrogant and who is finding it difficult to go along with the team. So that is the situation. So what is the next one? The T stands for the task. The task I have got is to groom this particular person to make sure that he's more acceptable to the team. That is a task that I've got. And so action, the star, the action that I'm going to do is to tell that person that have a conversation with him or her and say that, see, we are going to work out a way together. We'll first identify what are your areas of improvement which we can help you be get along with the team, because currently there is an issue, right? I'll explain the situation without being using negative terms. You must have noticed I said areas of concern. I didn't say your weakness. I didn't say your negatives. I said area of improvement. So those words I would use, and then I would tell that person how to deal with it, and I'll tell him that I am his friend, his partner, to help him move that, right? And so he has to consider that, because we want him or her in the company, so we want them to continue. I would answer it from that way. And in the end of results, I would say that we will take a survey from the team, an anonymous survey, and find out how good you were now and how good you were, or you have moved yourself in the next 6 months. And I would do this even as a survey from, when I talk of survey, it's not a question answer survey. I'm talking about a dipstick kind of a thing, which I will do with his colleagues, with his other peers, and then find out and give him, this is what you have moved to. So that's the way I did handle it. And I moved that person from a very, and he was very helpful that I have helped him see his areas of concern. That's how I dealt with the question. So I won't say
That's
specifically STAR. I'll use these acronyms to answer that behavioral question.
all right. That's nice hearing from you, Prem. But I have a small doubt, as in say, you took a laid off as an example, right? But I would like to ask, there are employees who are laid off because of their performance as well due to pandemic, but they're also attending interviews. What is what is the one tip that you would like to give them while
Okay,
attending
so
interviews?
yeah, performance is very subjective. If you really ask me, each person's performance or perception of performance is different. My perception of my performance is different from Swati, your perception of my performance. You see the difference? There is difference in the perceptions. So first thing that I would do is that, having understood where my performance is lacking, I would have used this time in pandemic to fill in those gaps. There are a lot of courses on Udemy and Coursera, and so many other institutes are getting me courses in which I can plug the gaps so that I can improve. If it is something behavioral, if it is attitude, now knowledge and skill, those two obviously we can learn. Okay, I can do that. I can get books, I can go online courses, I can do it. But attitude, if I have a performance which is because of my attitude, I can only work on that myself. Nobody else can do it, right? And that is the biggest gift that I have for myself. A lot of people should realize that your attitude, you are the only master of it. If you can handle that, your negatives in that, and you're able to move it, you will do far, far better. So I will work on that. If I'm a person who gets angry quite frequently, I'll try and find out reasons why I can let things off. I need to space out. I need to give space for myself before blowing up. These are things that can come only through practice. It can't happen from tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I will not be angry. No, you can't do that. It has to come from practice. So you will still fail a few times in the next few weeks, but still you're improving. That is how you work on your attitude, right? So that's how I will work on my performance, if performance was an issue for me to do it. And in the next job that I'm going, if if there is an indication that performance is a problem, then I would definitely tell my prospective employees in the interview how I worked on my performance, improving performance, right? And what results have I got having done that. That's how I do it.
All right. So as you told, like we are seeing candidates those are attending interviews. Like rather than saying they had a performance issue and they have been laid off, sometimes people start telling or maybe using the term due to pandemic the company has been laid off. I mean, company is laying off employees, so I am one among them. So would you recommend those candidates to come up with the real truth regarding their performance issue and uh, tell their part of story to the interviewer? Do you recommend it?
Okay, let's look at it this way. In a company, out of a team, if you have to lay off because of the pandemic, what would a company boss do? He would lay off the bottom 10, 20, 30, or 40%, right? He will retain the people who are very good and who can multitask. The rest of them, he will let them go because he has to let them go. So everybody in the world knows today that if you are laid off, unless you're exceptionally good, which they can find out within 20 minutes into an interview, if you're exceptionally good, Otherwise, they will know it is perhaps due to you're not among the top, and that's the reason why you laid off. Everybody knows it. If somebody asks you a pointed question that have you laid off because of a performance issue, it's only then that you need to tell them of a performance issue which you have improved upon. Okay, so be careful about. You don't have to be a Gandhian there. I mean, let's be very frank there. It's a tough world out there, but you got to be smart that they should not be able to catch you telling a lie. That's about all, right? How you have to work on your performance, because if you don't work on your performance, you will still not get that job or any other job for that matter, right? So you should know how to work on your performance and give that an answer. And the question that you asked, should I give it out on my own? Certainly not. You don't have to give it out on your own. I wouldn't recommend you give it out on your own unless you're asked on it. A specific question has come to you. Otherwise, you can just say that because of pandemic, the company couldn't sustain and we got laid off. That's it.
All right. Okay. That was nice hearing, Prem. Okay. So, what is the difference, or maybe what is the difference that you are experiencing, that you are seeing, uh, post pandemic? Like, how is the interviews happening? What are the changes? How the interviews are evolving? How the candidates are preparing? Are you seeing a upward graph, or how is that for you?
Okay, one of the things that is that you see, before the pandemic, you were facing candidates on a different competence level. What I meant to say was, a candidate would come who wants to go to the next growth level or the next higher positions or a next higher slab of compensation. That was the reasons why somebody would come for an interview to fill in the gap in my company. But in the pandemic, it's not the case. In the pandemic, it's a question of filling up survival posts within the company. I can, if I had a team of 10, if I can do with six, I will now have six. But if my figure of six drops down to four, I have two vacancies to fill up. That is the way today companies are seeing. You see the difference? Earlier, company would keep the 10, and if eight people or two people dropped out, they would fill the two more. Today, it's not that case. Today, they're looking for people who can multitask, who are star performers. So, and the level of performance which is expected is now higher. It is no more filling the vacancies. So that is the first change that is happening in pandemic. So you got to be aware of that. So that's why when I said in my previous questions, when you asked me, when you discuss your interview questions with your prospective employer, tell them how good you can contribute to what their requirement is. That's where the JD is very important. Every word in the JD, go through it, dissect it, and give examples from your previous company, your experience as to how you can enhance that quality, right? How you can enhance that competence in that particular job description. That will enable them to listen to you and look at you, right? That's how you make that mark. That's how you have an edge over them. Fine. That's why I told you it's very, very important to spend 70% of your time in preparing for that interview, right? So that is how you handle that particular question that you just now asked.
All right. So, these days, we are noticing people that they are changing their industry, their field. Maybe a software engineer is doing a digital marketing job, or maybe more interested in a digital marketing job, and they are looking for a, a job from another industry. So they are also attending interviews, but I have uh, I have personally, I mean, I have heard from those kind of people, as in say, see, I'm trying to change my industry, but I'm not able to do good in interviews, as in I'm not getting good responses. Why is that? Do you think it is because of the industry knowledge that they have, very less industry knowledge or experience with the industry that they're applying for, or is it something else?
See, it is both. See, firstly, when you change your profession, you know what is happening is that there is you have lost some lead time. So when I say lead time is, let's say if you're a person who is a Java specialist, you worked for 5 years in the Java, right? And then now you want to go to say marketing, digital marketing, right? So you're competing with somebody who's already been there for 5 years in digital marketing, whereas you just started with only learning about it. So that is the lead time that you've lost. So you should be aware of that. Okay, so you are now going to compete in a job where they're taking freshers in digital marketing, but just because you had an experience in Java for 5 years, so you have got a corporate experience, you're a little more mature from that point of view compared to a person who is a fresher in the digital marketing. That is the only difference that you can bring. So you must understand that is the where the requirement is. And secondly, you also must do when you're doing switching, like this is my third career, right? I was in the armed forces for 2 decades. I switched and I got into the corporate and got into the HR for one
So I'm
decade.
asking a very experienced person. Yes,
Yeah.
Prem, go ahead.
So that is the reason why you must understand the lead time and how do you fill in that lead time that you lost. You got to tell them that you have to, when you learn, for instance, let's take the same case where a person who is in Java who is now doing the digital marketing. He should actually, while learning to know about digital marketing, work with some team of digital marketing, maybe with no salary at all. You're just gaining experience of how you've been handling it. This is where you today, when I do webinars or when I do speaking with the industry people and all that, I don't charging them is not even an issue for me. It is making my mark in the industry. That's what is important. You have to know that. Okay, so there is a little bit of sacrifice that is involved there, right? I don't go about charging people blindly just because I've got 30 years of experience. No, I am establishing myself. So you have to establish as a digital marketer. To establish as a digital marketer from a Java, you need to put in that much of sacrifice in making sure that the company who's hiring you knows that you have filled in the gap for the experience. It may not be 5 years of experience gap, but at least you are a little better than a fresher, right? That is how you pitch it.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice. But still, I would like to ask you something. So, Prem, maybe a 10 years experienced person will not change their industry field. It's really difficult for them to change the field, the
Okay.
industry
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
working. We can see very young talents, as in maybe they worked with engineering field for 1 year, and they feel, oh, this thing will not work with me, and they are changing, right? So they are
Mhm.
taking so much of certifications to add their kind of knowledge, as you have told, in order to manage their performance issue, as well as to keep themselves updated with the new industry they are gonna be with. They're utilizing the uh, uh, resources
Yeah.
available in online world. But we are seeing daily, like, maybe a software engineer has a lot of certificate which is not at all linked with their industry. It's something else. So how
Yes.
do you see that? Like, when, like, as an interviewer, like, maybe I'm sitting in front of you and I'm telling you, see, I have 2 years of experience in HR, but I have digital marketing, I have done digital marketing course, I've done Tally course, I have done Java and all. How do you see that?
Okay. So the first thing that I know that the person who mentions all these certifications is a person who is not focused. Okay, I know people may not like to hear this answer, but that's the truth. The hard truth is you may have done certificates. I've done a lot of other certificates. I've done certifications on Excel. I've done certifications on AI, artificial intelligence. I've done that. But in the job that I'm going to go, I'm only going to answer those certifications or those answers which the interviewer wants to know from me, not what all I have done. Okay, if the person who's in HR for 2 years and if he's going for a role in which there is digital marketing, then I would only speak of certifications connected with digital marketing, which I've done, or the experience, or the people whom I spoke, or the projects that I've taken in digital marketing. I will only concentrate on that. 10 other certifications that I've done, which is not relevant, I won't speak about it. I won't even put it in my CV, which is why that I will come to the very important point, which everybody must do today is have a CV which has got 3 to 5 pages. But for every job that you're applying, only send those aspects which that particular job is asking for. So each job must have a different CV or a resume, right? It's very important. Don't carpet bomb. Carpet bombing is a term in the armed forces where you take an aircraft and fill it with bombs and just bomb a whole area. Just throw the bombs wherever. So whoever comes under that will get killed. It's like that. You can't do that in interviews. You can't do that in corporates. You have to be specific, very specific. That's where the preparation comes handy. So you say, okay, in my CV this time, this is what they're looking for. So these certifications will matter, include only those certifications, right? So if you do that more specifically, more focused, they know that you're a guy or a girl who comes with a lot of meaning, lot of focus, and that's what the people that they're looking for.
Yeah, that was on point, Prem. Yeah, and yes, here comes the next question. These days, there is so much pressure and negativity in one's mind during interviews, and they care about how do I look? Oh my God, my home is not that much groomed, and they do not know like how to act, how to groom their body language. So lots of things. How do you see it, and what is the advice that you can give to the candidates out here?
Okay, the first thing I would do is ask them to read my book, How to Sharpen Your Interview Skills. I've dealt with all these things, right? So get out of the book. It's available on Amazon. That is, of course, one part of it. But let me answer this question as to how this is. See, understand one thing, that there is a weakness. Okay, there is something that we need to be aware of. If I am not good at the way that I'm speaking, the first thing that I must do is to understand that that is a weakness that I have. Now I
We need
need
to accept it.
accept it. Absolutely accept what is wrong. Once you've accepted what is wrong, you feel a lot better, right? Today it's people say that I will do very well, I will do very well. They seem to think that 10 telling that 10 times before the interview you're going to do well. No, it's not. You, if you pray 10 times before, you will go and win the interview. No, praying helps to give you a condition and mental condition which helps you to do yourself better, right? God helps those who helps themselves, right? That is what is the dictum. So what you should do is that firstly accept what all is wrong with you when you are going for the interviews from your experience. Make a list of that and see how you can address that. Now you use your belief system. Some people believe in the religious books, some people believe in themselves, some people believe in some Swamiji or a priest or a or an idol. They believe in that. If you believe in that and makes you feel better, do go ahead and do it. Some people are very good at, even they have a good cup of coffee or a glass of beer, they feel better that okay, now I can go and handle something. Do whatever makes you feel good. Then thereafter, get into those action points to deal with it. If you're a person who is hesitant in speaking in English, I'm just giving a hard truth. In when I was in Kerala 2.5 years, people found it difficult to converse in English, right? And when you are dealing with clients from across India and across the world, how can you do that speaking in Malayalam? You can't do it. So they used to find that, and I used to tell them this very clearly. I used to tell them, watch English news, watch English debates, and speak in language like that. Unless you address those problems, you won't be able to handle it. So that is the first thing that you need to do, is take action on those weak points that you have to do it, right? So that is the second thing. The third thing, which is very important for you, is to prepare. I've been repeating this a number of times, but this is the only way that you can do is to prepare yourself. Take out all those good things that you're good at and highlight that in your question. Somebody asks you, okay, tell me about yourself. Typically most questions do ask in interviews, okay, tell me about yourself. Bring out those good qualities that you have. Talk about that when you're saying that. Don't go and talk about your childhood and your parents and your schooling and all that. Nobody's interested. Tell them that how good you were in the last company, what good things you did, how good results you brought out. Those things you must capitalize. Improve on the strengths that you have. Project yourself on the strengths that you have. That's how you work on that. So you lose a lot of this negativity when you do this. And one single tip, which I will tell you, is that when you go into that interview, right, room, if it is a face-to-face interview, the moment you step inside the room, you should have no other thought in your mind other than doing well for yourself. That's all the thought that matters. Whether I'll be good, whether I'll be bad, the person sitting outside was more better than me, good looking than me, all that should not be a part of your thought. Your thought is only to project yourself. But this is very important. It's called switching. When you call it switching, call it anchoring, these are terms that they use in psychology. Use that. And when you're in a virtual interview, the moment you put on your laptop on, you put on your headphones on, nothing else matters to you other than projecting yourself. Practice that. Practice that. Virtual interviews are very good at helping you practice that. Close the door, ask your people not to disturb you, and then have a quiet environment. And one more special tip for virtual interviews, please make sure you have great connectivity. Invest in it. Invest in a landline if required. Invest in a very high end thing. Or if you don't have all of that, when you do your interviews, go to a place where there is very good connectivity. Because while connecting, if the internet drops, the person who's interviewing you loses interest in you. And whatever you're good that you want to convey gets lost out. So these things are very small things, but they're very, very important in doing well in interviews.
That's a nice good insight that you have shared, Prem. All right. Uh, Another very important thing, due to this pandemic, the the organizations have reduced their costing, and this is happening in one side. And the other side, the candidates, they try to negotiate their salaries. See, I have got 3 lakhs per annum. Now I'm planning to have some 4 or maybe 5, at least 4. I'm just asking as per the standards. I'm not asking much. If he says maybe 3.5 lakhs, if he says that, but the company now, due to pandemic, they have reduced the cost, and he was laid off, and he was not working for the past 3 maybe or 6 months, and still he is demanding a negotiating the salary. He is still demanding a hike. How do you see this? You like I want you to elaborate the situation from the candidate side as well as the interviewer side. How do you see this, Firin?
All right, fine. Let's first take a look at the interviewer's expectations, right? So the interviewer, because of like you correctly said, there is a cost now because of pandemic and businesses are down, the economy is down. So therefore, it will not be the same kind of salary ranges that we should have given earlier. I may not be able to give today. Now, if the candidate is coming and insisting on something, I would put that candidate as unreasonable and reject him, right? If there is another candidate who with a almost equal kind of competence as well as knowledge and skill is concerned, but who is acceptable to a salary that I can pay currently, I would obviously take that candidate, not the one who is demanding 4.5 from 3. Okay, so what my advice is, that is from the interviewer's point of view, right? Because the interviewer is a king there. He can choose whom he wants to take in, right? Now let's go back to the candidate's point of view. Now here's a candidate who's lost out on a job because of a pandemic, right? Now he has to take a call. Does he want a job? Is his financial commitments that much that he needs to take a job immediately? Okay, that is one question that he has to ask. Secondly, because of the current situation, can I ask for 20 or 30% hike, right? Do I have, no, these are questions that is in my mind as a candidate. Okay, I'm asking these questions myself. So if that is a situation, what I must now do is, I must first priority, to me, what is important? Getting 4.5 lakhs or having no job at all? You see that question? Do I need to ask for 4.5 or should I get a job at 3 itself? Okay, so that is a question I have to ask myself. Now, the second question that I need to ask is, I have to negotiate. I mean, you should never show your desperation as a candidate, never show your desperation to your interviewer. You know, sir, I lost my job. There's nobody at home. I have 2 children. I have my grandparents. I have my father. I have my mother. They're all not working. You carry on with a sob story. Then that interview, if I am an interviewer, to me, you're coming for solving your problems and not the company's problems. Let's be very clear there, right? So therefore, I may not look at you just because you got problems coming to you. So therefore, don't go for a sob story, even if you lost your job and you've not been working. Very, very important, right? And the next thing that you need to do is that always ask, so what will you offer to me? Ask that company, ask the interviewer, what is his offer to you? Right. They may also hesitate because they don't want to lay out their hands. They don't want to lose you. If they do not want to lose you, they will not give you a figure. Just remember this. Okay, this is a very good technique to understand. If they do not want to lose you, they will not
Yeah.
commit. right? So that means you know that yes, they are okay with you. Now what you should do, be honest, be reasonable, give them a range, give them a range which for you, your minimum in that range will be what is minimum acceptable to you. See, you have some your life's commitments, right? You have EMIs to pay for your, maybe a bike or a house and all that. You also have what you've been earning the last. You know that minimum I need this much to do a job. Then you have a higher range. What is it that is in the current, which means you must do your homework, your preparation, go to the Glassdoor, find out the current role, how much is it, the current rates that is being paid. And then you pitch in there and tell them that I will accept between 3.5 to 4. Okay, if you're currently having 3, you will say, for me, it will be good if I can get anything between 3.2 to 3.8 or something like that. It's a range that I'll be good, okay with. At the same time, when I'm giving a range, I do not want to be given the lower end of the range, and when I realized that I have been given a short rift just because I asked for a lower range, I should be in par with my same experience and same talent in the company. I should be in par with the rest of the people who are in the company. Put it that way. So when you put it that way, you stand a better chance of getting a better compensation to yourself.
I totally get that. It is all a matter of self-respect, right? So
Absolutely.
I totally get that. Yeah. All right. So there is we see we can talk about the negotiation regarding the salary for the experienced, okay? Because they can say, see, I have an offer here, I have an offer with the company here, so that's fine. But how about the freshers? They are new to the corporates, they are new to the whole field, so they have no idea like what's going on, or maybe what will be the next wave of the industry or their kind of things. So what is the how do you see that, and what is how can we mold them to the next phase?
Okay. So yeah, today's a situation where unfortunately, the freshers can't bank upon the previous seniors team, the senior lot who got their compensation. The kind of placements where they got. Obviously, it can't be because of the pandemic, so they may not get the same kind of salary. If you really ask me today, as a young, if I'm a fresher, I am more interested to find out what is my skill, what is my passion, and in this passion and skill that I have got, how can I make my career out of it? And which is an industry that can give me. Okay, that is a question that I shouldn't be talking, I shouldn't be worried about compensation at all. I should get basic enough money for me to go and live in a new place, pay for the accommodation there, pay for my travel, and some comforts that I would like to have some amount of money for that and some amount to save. Each person has got its own requirement for that. You can't put a figure to that. As long as you work that out, and if you feel that you are getting that amount and little more than that, you should go and take the job. Don't ever think that person got it in that college, this person got it this much, I mean, why am I not getting? And no, today your concentration should not be on the competition. Today you should just go get at least 2 years, 3 years in a company, earn experience, learn, thirst for learning new things. And once you do that, then you can charge when next to the company that you're going thereafter, you can ask for triple the rates that you're getting right now, and the companies will pay you because you've shown them that you got so much of knowledge you've gained, you've skilled yourself, you've upskilled yourself in so many areas. All that you'll be able to do, and plus 3 years, don't jump till 3 years. This is my experience speaking, because if you jump before, after 1 year, after 6 months, after 1.5 years, it shows that you're not steady. It shows that you have interests other than not looking after. So choose your company wisely, and then choose tasks that you want to do and grow. Stick for at least 2 to 3 years minimum. That means it shows to you, and you will learn a lot there. Otherwise, you are just like a rolling stone. It gathers no moss. That's what they say. So you will not pick
Yeah,
up anything.
I get that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. So and one more question relating to this. So jobs are really difficult to get these times. Uh, but for freshers and just the pass out graduates, it's really, really difficult.
It
And
is. It
the
surely is
kind of
difficult. Yeah.
uh, yeah, and the kind of trait the company is uh, looking to hire in a fresher is, I think most of the companies, like, they don't expect, they don't have a lot of expectations within a fresher. The only thing they say is, okay, is the candidate is trainable, could we train him on the trade that we are looking. So the trainability is the main criteria, or maybe the main thing that they are looking into a fresher. So how do you think that they can inculcate into themselves for a fresher?
Right. So this is a very good thing. That is because when I picked up a lot of freshers in Bally Technologies, in scientific games, in the private-public partnership, and also in MobMe when I was there. Picked up a lot of youngsters there. The only thing that I'm looking whenever I picked up the youngsters was that, like you said very correctly, it is, are these trainable material? Can they be groomed? That's what I'm looking at. So if there is any amount of rigidity that I'm finding in them, I don't pick up those students at all. Uh, the reason
One
is,
one doubt: how do you define the rigidity? Like,
okay. So
what is your
for
way of
yes,
like
fine,
explanation
all
for
right.
that?
Okay, for example, if I ask, okay, let's say it's a person who is an HR, right? Let's talk about that. So there's a candidate who's come, so she's doing it for the first time. So she says, I would like to do. I'll ask her the question. So what would you like to do in HR? So she says, I would like to do recruitment. I want to be a talent acquisition specialist. So I say, okay, fine. Okay, so how long would you want to do it? So she says, I would like to do it for about 2 years, 3 years, and I would like to continue being that. I want to specialize in that. So I ask her, why do you want to specialize only in that? No, I'm very good at people. I'd like to do interviews. That is why I want to do it. So what about HR operations? Would you like to do that? No, I'm not very keen on HR operations. But okay, so what about employee engagement? You said you're very good at dealing with people. So would you like to do employee engagement? Yeah, okay. If it comes, fine. But I would like to concentrate on only talent acquisition. You see rigidity there?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So if a person comes to me as a HR, then I will be clean that if the person says, "So I would like to do in every can you rotate me after a few, maybe a year or so, to from this role to, I would like to learn every aspect of the HR, compensation, operations, employee engagement, all the talent acquisition." So if you keep saying those kind of things, then I know that this person is very flexible and is a learner. So similarly, in the technology also, in the technology domain also, the specialist will know what are they specifying about the technology that they're good at. How would they like to grow? I'll give you a very good example. My son is a BTech from Manipal. Now this guy, he's after he did his Manipal, he went for a campus interview, and in which Infosys came and picked him up. Infosys, an IT company, picked up a BTech mechanical engineer, right? And then this guy, he went, and then the only reason why he went was because they asked him questions on IT, and he was able to answer all of them, whatever questions they hadn't answered. And they said that, okay, amazing that we would want a mechanical engineer to look at the IT point of view, and that's how they took him there. So I'm just giving you an example of my own son. So this is how it is. You got to be open. So a student who comes with this open mind is the best person to grab, because that person has got immense capability to learn, right? That way.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean like it's something contrary to the question that we had in the beginning. Like a person who's working with HR but wants to move in digital marketing, and they have got lots of certificates but still applying with HR. So we discussed all those stuffs now. But see, it's an advantage that we are not. Sometimes we are not realizing it. It's an advantage to have a bit knowledge about other industry fields and all. Uh, don't you think so?
Absolutely. See, I'll tell you what, in the HR today, in the HR, if there is a problem with the business, the HR doesn't know about it. Very sad. It's really sad. And you ask the talent acquisition guy, the fellow who's interviewing somebody, he ask him, okay, what is the business problem that is being faced by product A? You won't know unless you're business minded. You will not be an HR star. I can give it to you in writing today. You want to be successful in HR today, you got to understand business. You got to read business standard. Okay, not mirror. Okay, you got to read business standard. You got to read Times of India's business page. You got to understand what the industry is talking about. That's when you are able to contribute. So why is that? Do you remember people saying that the HR is not part of the board? The HR is not part of the C-suite. It's not there anymore. But if a HR guy is able to speak business language, he will definitely be part of the C-suite, right? So it's
Yeah,
very
that's true.
important to very important to understand the business. What's clicking people, what is the talent that is required, what is the talent which is likely to be required in the future. So pandemic is there. We want work from home. How do we get technology to work from home? If you're able to answer those questions along with business, you will be a great HR person.
Absolutely, I totally agree to that, Prem. So, a last question to you. So, there is a second wave or a new COVID strain likely to have global effect. Do you think that it will give us more layoffs?
Okay, so yeah, I don't have that crystal ball in front of me to gaze and give you an answer. So neither am I good at astrology also. So, but the point is that's not important. See, the second wave can come, the third wave can come, with all that is fine, but still the work is going to go on. Your economy will not close. It will only close for the time that the layoff is going to happen or that lockdown is going to happen. That's it. So today you're experienced now. You work from home so much, you know how to handle it, right? Today you're in a far better situation than March of 2020, right? We are today in a far better situation how to handle it. I think we have to just go move forward. And very one of the bright things in the horizon is that a vaccine is on its way. See, vaccines today, just because somebody's fallen sick or somebody's got some side effect, you look at all vaccines right from our childhood, right? When you took vaccines for measles, I took vaccines for measles. It had a side effect. We had
Yeah,
burns,
yeah.
we had fever. You took vaccine for typhoid, it had a side effect. You took vaccine for chickenpox, it developed into rashes. It all these were that but we never blamed them, right? Today, just because it is available on WhatsApp, you want to see it in a very different way. There will be side effects because it is a new product which is entering into your body. Accept it, see what is better, and just move forward. That's it. Is it better than death? Is a question you have to ask. Is it better to die, or should I take a vaccine and have a side effect of 1 week? Which is better? I mean, these are questions that people need to ask. So I am very positive about that. Even if something happens, there will be a lockdown, there will be a layoff, but it's not going to be bad. It's something which we can cope up. I mean, if that is the attitude which everybody has, they'll figure out a way to find out something. Like how I fit today, when I didn't work after I left my head of HR. And now I'm on to entrepreneurship. I've written a book. I'm doing a thing, and I'm today right now. I'm doing a course on uh, business and leadership coach. It's with an international institute. So in 3 months' time, I'll be a international certified coach, right, from the
Oh, that's
IC.
awesome.
So I'm doing it at 58. I'm 58, right? And I'm doing it now. I'm learning that 3 months. I'm putting my effort in it because I've not given up on hope of, that I'm not going to say I'm 50, 60, so I'll not get a job. So I think it's all on the attitude that
That's
matters.
that's that's a kind of spirit the world
Absolutely.
needs actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is,
So I think you have answered like how to ensure uh, the job. So
yeah.
that you have answered. So thank you so much, Prem. It was really nice talking to you. We have received a lot of insights, and I'm very sure that people those who are watching this kind of interview will really get benefit out of this. So I'm so happy, and thank you so much, Prem, for spending the time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Swati. It was a delight answering those questions, something from very core of my heart. And I believe I've answered them, which is straight from my experience and from looking around and what's happening. And I've gone as close to reality as possible because that is where we can address our problems. right?
Yeah,
So
like even addressing our problems, as well as we can also tell what are like sharing our experience is a learning for the other. So it
absolutely,
goes the
yeah.
other way. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I really appreciate it.
everybody can't make same mistakes like so yeah, so that's very good, very nice, and I enjoyed this stretch session. I am looking forward for more of HR talk so that we get to learn more from each other. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much.
we are coming up with a lot of other programs as well. So we'll let you know that. We'll always keep you in a loop.
So, thank you, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you so
Thank you.
much, Prem.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.